Okay, hello. So, today what was on my mind is victimhood. Ooh, very loaded topic. Um, Here's the thing. You reach a certain point, if you're someone who has sought being a victim for most of your life, you reach a point where that it no longer adds any value to your life I don't know if it ever actually adds value to begin with, but you reach a point where you can't deny the lack of value that it's adding to your life, where you realize, I wrote this question down here because I was writing about this before I began filming. Do I want to get better or do I want to stay a victim? And you reach a point where there's this crossroads where it's like, I want to feel like I'm growing, I want to pursue certain things, but it requires me to let go of this identification I have with being a victim, this need for victimhood. And some people, I think of adults in my life I had growing up, some people never reach that point where they're ready to let go of victimhood. But if you keep saying the world's against me, everyone's out to get me, everything just sucks, and you don't take any responsibility over your life, you just remain a victim forever. And then you're just a victim. And the thing about victimhood is that I feel like it doesn't even hit that hard. For me, it's like when I was a kid, all I wanted was for people to reinforce that, yeah, your life fucking sucks and all the shit that's happening shouldn't be happening to you. And it's like, I'm sure at least one person did that, and I don't even fucking remember who it was. Clearly it was not memorable enough, this reinforcement of, oh my God, you are a victim, for it to stick with me and for it to make me feel better long term. And yeah, this is one of those topics where it's we can acknowledge the legitimate challenges we have due to so many reasons, right? Our position in society, different marginalized identities we have, right? We can acknowledge that stuff, but at the same time, it's you have to reach a point where you're able to see what power you do have in this situation. And when you identify so strongly with victimhood, it's this need to feel like you don't have power. You don't have, there's a specific word I'm looking for. You don't have, it's not authority. Let me see, Google's free. Let me see if I can find this. Authority over your life, yes, but there's a more perfect word for this. Okay, let me just give it one shot and then I'll move on. All right. Well, yeah, we're moving on. But yeah, you just feel like you're not in control of your life. And yes, of course, there's always going to be different things that are actually out of our control, but what about the stuff that's in your control? Okay, so today I had a shift at work and the job was jobbing today. And if you're not a younger individual, let me translate that. It really felt like work today, and it kind of always does at this job, but it really, really did today. I was like, wow, this is really an exchange of my time, energy, and physical labor for money. Like, that's what it was giving. And yeah, the day just like really dragged on, and then it was snowing. My body was in pain. Certain parts of my body were like extra in pain and stressing me out. And then, yeah, I took the bus home in the snow. I got off the bus, the ground was like covered with ice, and I feel like bus drivers are like this in all cities probably, where like they're in a rush. So it's like for me, I'm always trying to get off as quick as possible, because sometimes it feels like I might not get both feet off the bus before they begin driving away. So yeah, I was like rushing off the bus. I get on the ground. I wasn't thinking about it being icy. I didn't grow up in a snowy, icy place. Slipped backwards. It was very it felt dramatic. It felt like a cartoon where people slip on a banana. Like, that's the kind of fell it felt like. And then I hit the parts of my body that were already hurting. And I turned around after I fell to look at the bus, the departing bus, look at the bus driver, look at the people getting on the bus. And also, mind you, I like yelped when I fell. I was like, oh shit. And I turned. None of these people turned around. No one was like, are you okay? And I think it was crazy that I was expecting people to do that, because it's like, these people don't know me. These people don't care about me. And I can't be upset that like they don't give a shit. Like, I mean, honestly, I was not amused in the moment. I was like, I had that day of work, and then I was just trying to get home, and I was like, yeah, I felt really like not great. And then I got home and I like cried, right? But the thing is that as I was crying, I was like, I'm not a victim. I refuse to be like, oh my God, like all this shit sucks. Everything sucks. Like, this job sucks. This, like, people suck, blah, blah, blah. I just like, yeah, there might be layers of truth to some of that, but it's like, there is nothing productive to be achieved out of being like, God, I'm such a victim to everything. Like, yeah, there are some things where I'm like, why is this not happening as fast as I want it to happen? Why am I pushing for certain things and these things aren't happening? Like, that feels really freaking frustrating. And it, like, yeah, that's frustrating. Like, the tears were maybe related to that as well, but I still had to, like, what came shining through amidst it all is that I'm not a victim. And, you know, admitting that you were someone, I probably still have tendencies now, right? Like me looking back at the bus, right? Admitting that you are someone who is currently or has in the past sought like being a victim and for people to view you that way, it's like not the greatest thing to admit to. It feels kind of like, it feels shameful for sure. It's like, yeah, I'm not out here like, I don't want to be screaming from every rooftop like, yes, like I love being a victim. Because it doesn't feel like something that you love. It almost feels like something that feels necessary at some point. Especially when, like, of course, everything goes back to the childhood or to trauma, whatever, where you're like growing up and you're like, oh my God, I just want someone to look at my life and be like, this shit's fucked up, right? Maybe I already said this at the beginning of the video, but it's like, that's all you want. But you reach a point where it's like, you're no longer a kid anymore. You're an adult and you can't keep expecting people to do that. And it kind of sucks. And I do think it's important to have someone say that. And maybe a therapist could take that role, maybe a really good friend. Like, it is important to have acknowledgement and to understand like your life and how certain things, like the fact that they occurred to you when you're younger, like, is messed up. But it's like, I think for some people, myself included, which I'm trying to move away from, which I am moving away from, is like wanting people to like say over and over, like keep like continuing to seek that validation of like, that was fucked up, that was fucked up, that was fucked up. And it's like, if you know it was fucked up, you don't need everyone to tell you that. You don't need to keep repeating the story so that someone can tell you it was fucked up again. Hopefully that makes sense. So yeah, it's like, I'm like, how do I have more thoughts on this? I don't know. I think it's just the TLDR is that, like, you can choose to be a victim or you can choose to get better. And I remember the word. Okay, perfect way to end the video. Take agency over your life. As much agency as possible. Yeah. That's all. And that doesn't mean, like, not crying when, like, when you've had a rough day. When you've slipped backwards on ice and, like, hit your body really hard. Like, yeah, you're allowed to cry, but you don't need everyone around you to be like, wow, your life is so hard. And, like, I think you do reach a point where it's like, maybe this is what healing is, I don't know, where, like, people saying stuff like that to you, it's like, yeah, that was bad, or, like, that was not ideal, I wish that didn't happen, but also, like, my life is not hard, or, I don't know. I mean, I don't like saying life is hard, I say life is challenging. I made a video on this in the past. I think it was a year ago at this point, which is kind of wild. But to me, I see those as two distinct things where it's like challenges feel surmountable, hard is like this block of like, I can't get past this. Anyway, yeah, it's like you just have an understanding of like where your power actually is compared to feeling like you have no power. I know I phrased that kind of weird, but I feel like I already phrased it better earlier in the video, so I'm like, go back a minute, I said it better then. But yeah, that's all. Hope everyone is doing wonderful, having a great February 15th. Yes, there was some roughness for me, but you know, the day isn't over. Still got a few hours I mean, I can't do anything crazy, but to meditate and be at peace, God, I don't fucking know. Anyway, ta-ta.